Really pleased to have everybody here. We'd like to spend an hour, roughly, and maybe it could be less. If it bleeds over, that's fine too, to kind of talk about where we are with respect to our project. We are very excited, kind of just in the abstract, to give you sort of an overview. It's always nice to be able to say that we're on time and we're on budget, and we're on both of those at this point. We are still looking at December opening of the new high school for next year, looking at building our calendar, our school calendar for next year that would include 2 days for the high school and middle school attached to the winter break to be able to make the move. But we're actually hoping that given the speed to which and the lucky weather conditions that we've had so far, that we might actually be able to take possession of the building maybe even sooner, but not move in probably until that December date. If you've been out on the website, and we'll share the website information with you again later this morning, we do have multiple live feed cameras that are out there. They've become sort of my screensaver. Hey, come on in. Good morning, Dennis. They've become my screensaver, and they are live feed cameras that show the construction site sort of in real time. And where we are now is we have completed the vast majority of the excavation that needed to be done. We took out 50,000 yards of dirt, which was represented 5,000 truckloads of dirt for the excavation for the whole of the larger portion of the high school, which is the right-hand side, which is affectionately known as the fat bar. That bar actually goes down below grade 2 levels. That first level is we have the arts area, we also have the locker rooms, and then we also have wrestling and the fitness area. And then the next level up from that is where we begin our gym level. So that excavation has been completed. And in addition to that, the foundation walls all the way around have been poured in place, and we are almost complete with the entire portion of slab on grade at this point. So the inside of the foundation walls are almost complete. The ground slab is almost complete as well. And Jack, I forget what the last piece, there's one piece just on the left-hand side that needs to be done. I think that happens in the next week or so.
There's, hey, good morning, everyone. So there's one section of slab on grade which we should pour tomorrow, and that'll complete the slab on grade for that lower level. And then there's a small section of foundation wall that we're still waiting to pour, which should be by Friday of this week. So end of this week, we should be done with everything below grade as far as concrete goes, and then shifting into steel.
So today, if you were to go by the site, one of the things you'll see is a very, very large crane that is a new fixture on the site, and that's where, using the language that Jack has shared with me, they'll be swinging steel probably in the next day or so. So we're really excited about that. The reason that it's important to sort of talk about the foundation and the excavation and the like is because that was, moving into this process, probably our greatest risk. As you may recall, for those of you that have been in the system for a while, when Mary Ellen Henderson was built a decade ago and got into the foundation development and sort of the digging of the dirt, they found some really poor soils down there, and as a consequence had to do some undercutting and some remediation of the soil, and as a consequence the cost went up. And so in this particular circumstance, we did some really good soil bores before the project, so we had a good sense of what was down there. And the good news is we found nothing in the dirt. Everybody kept asking at each of the board meetings, did you find anything? Did you find anything? And we're very excited to report that nothing was found. Oh, here it is. So thanks for throwing that up, John. So there's the very big crane. That's one of 2 cranes that are going to be on site where the steel will go up. But this area is the slab on grade that I was talking that isn't quite done. This was done yesterday. This has been done now for a while. And you see that footprint, and that footprint is the footprint for that larger right-hand side as you're looking at the building. What's really exciting to me is to begin to sort of envision what the site is going to look like, the way that it flows with other things that are happening. So you may remember from some of the renderings, there were 2 tunnels that came out of the building and onto the field. This is where one of them will move out from, and this is the other. And this is really close to the grade now of the football field, or stadium field, at the school site. So on the right-hand side, that's where chorus, band, the black box, practice rooms are going to be. There'll be a training room down here on the front lower right. We've got dressing rooms that will sort of take up the rest of the middle of the building, and then on the far left-hand side, that's where the wrestling room and the fitness area are going to be. You'll see some grooves in the top of the concrete, and those grooves are where some of the steel is going to sit, and then it will just go up from there. And it's really exciting. They've started the backfilling, so you'll see that used to go all the way, those went all the way down, and that dirt wasn't there, but they're starting the backfilling, and the site's coming along. So with that, sort of just context-wise of where we are, maybe we could flip back to the presentation, and we can show you from a schedule perspective where we are. And for that, I'll turn it over to Daisy, and I'll flip over. If it will, there we go. So Daisy, here you go.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. So this is a very familiar fabric. We've used, not fabric, graphic. We've used this to illustrate kind of the process that we've been going through throughout the project. So Peter, do you want me to click through?
There you go. I just moved you.
Yep. So this is where we are right now. It's a little bit deceiving because it's like, well, we're so far along, but you're only showing it this far. Well, when we expand into kind of what construction and the design entails, this is where we are. We're about 1/3 of the way. We're 18 months of construction, which is actually really, really quick for a 300,000 square foot building. We've gone through, it took us a little bit more than 12 months to do design, which is also really quick for a project of this size. We're still finalizing a couple of details, which is not atypical at this point, especially in school construction, as we continue to engage all the end users and stakeholders. Even this week and last week, I think we had, and over the last three weeks, we had another half a dozen meetings with performing arts, band, theater, special education, just to reconfirm things like furniture placement and outlet placements, that type of thing. So we're 1/3 of the way. Permit documents, the only thing that's outstanding is final approval of our, what we're calling our Phase 2 site plan submission, which is what we've coined the trapezoid, which is the parking lot on the east side of the property, and the Grove Plaza that's going to be in the front of the school. Other than that, we have our building permit. We worked close in hand with city planning and zoning, and also planning commission to work through that approval. And this is showing August 2021 completion, because there will be site work that will be completed, that trapezoid and plaza area. The school building will be complete in December of 2020, with first day of school opening January 4th or 5th, I believe is what we're looking at, of 2021. And then from January 2021 through August of 2021 will be the site work completion, working hand in hand with the economic development as they need to demolish the existing school building once we move out of it. So I had actually included in here the two videos, and when this is posted, you're able to click on it. The links are also posted on the FCCPS website, but there are two cameras with slightly different angles showing you the progress of it.
And there actually was a third camera mounted yesterday on the concession stand back by the stadium field, so you'll be able to see it the other direction as well. So you'll get a nice sort of robust view of the site and be able to watch it come along.
So this is the monthly report that Gilbane issues us every month. It's a great snapshot and summary of what's been happening in the project, all of the activities that we've been working on, both from a design perspective as well as a construction perspective. Gilbane does a great job of including kind of these detail really in the job site images, so you can see the concrete rebar insulation as well as the foundation walls. This is September 2019. It gets issued to us on the 15th of the following month. So this is the latest one we have. We'll be getting another one in about a week or two.
And when you go to our website, we do post these every month, so they're all up there and for anyone to look at. But it's a good opportunity for us to kind of also see what are some of the upcoming milestones to see where we're headed. And then also, I like the timeline, because it sort of makes it a little more clear. Although we're 1/3 of the way through, it doesn't look like we're 1/3 of the way through. but there are some things that will sort of move along rather quickly as we make our way.
Yeah, and one of the things with construction, which like Founders Row is a great example, is you're walking by these construction sites, you're like, wow, it's taking them forever. We always say coming out of the ground is the longest effort. Once you're out of the ground, like the building just seems to go up overnight. So that's really where a lot of the effort has gone in. So this is just a recap for those of you that haven't attended some of the school board meetings of what the project entails, just to have transparency. We're still at $120 million total project value, $108 million GMP for Gilbane, $9.3 million soft cost, which includes some of the kind of inspections and testing contractors that we had to hire under the owner's budget, and as well as the $2.7 million for financing and bond costs.
And I know sometimes acronyms can be hard, so I'll interpret GMP as greatest maximum price. And so that's the contract we got into with Gilbane that says the $108 million is the greatest maximum price that they can charge us for the work that's being done, barring some sort of unforeseen circumstance that neither they nor us have control over. So if we have delays that extend beyond sort of what are built in, sorry, Kristen. Oh, yeah.
I was curious on the financing costs, since interest rates have come down, did you get any benefit from lower financing and bond issuance costs?
The city will reap those benefits. We are locked into the $108 million amount. So the savings will actually come to the city, but the amount of price that we're paying will remain the same. I don't know if that answers your question or not, but
Kind of sort of seems like the schools should benefit from
Yeah.
that in some regard.
I don't necessarily disagree. But we're all on the same team, so the good news is that someone will benefit. Yes, sir.
So, Peter, the greatest maximum price, does that essentially freeze the project? If you come up with new requirements,
Yeah.
would that be over and above that 108?
That's a great question. The answer is yes and no. It depends on how big of an idea we have, because we do have built into that $108 million some contingency. So there's design contingency. So for example, if Gilbane recognizes that maybe something is drawn not exactly right and they didn't put in a wall where it needed to be, they would hit their design contingency and utilize that money, which is in that $108 million. We also have some owner's contingency that's in there as well. So if, for example, and this is a good example of how I think we're going to use some of the owner's contingency, one of the things we're looking at is instead of doing the standard flush toilets, we're thinking about using the motion sensor toilets. There are some backside costs to that with batteries and things like that, but swapping out that plumbing hardware will be an additional cost to the schools, but we'll utilize some of the owner's contingency for that, which is part of the $108 million. If we were to make a decision that we wanted to add another story, for example, to the building that exceeded what our owner's contingency would be, then it would exceed that 108, and we'd have to go back to the council for authorization for more money. At this point, we're locked. And in many ways, the design, because we're locked, is baked as well. So we're kind of in that lane where we're headed towards December opening and aren't going to make a whole lot of modifications at this point, because we really do want to stick within that GMP. Sure.
So this is just a breakdown of what Gilbane's contract breaks down into, just to have an understanding of it. We gave them an initial agreement, $6.5 million. We added another $1.25 million just to be able to continue with design. We gave them the first batch of the GMP, which allowed us to start construction in June of this past year. That was $32.65 million. And it released all of our early trades. So all of the work that you're seeing happening now, that's what that released, and it allowed us to stay on time. And then we issued and approved the final GMP in September, just a little bit over a month ago, within that $108 million. And as Peter mentioned, it includes a couple $100,000 of owner contingency. Just if we want to make those changes, they can move faster. We can be efficient in that process.
The good news about releasing that early GMP1 you know, given the current climate and not understanding what the lay of the land was,